Many people have asked me in real life, not on social media, what my problem is with romanticizing the old world by U.S. nationalists. And I want to be clear, this is not just a problem for U.S. nationalists, it's also a problem for all people of all of the American countries. I'm going to start with a story that sticks out in my mind, which is a very sad story. Many years ago, I worked at a place where we manufactured windmills to run power grids, and one of the guys that worked with me was a Mexican dude, Mexican American. He was a naturalized U.S. citizen from Mexico. And to him and his daughter, who was younger, and his daughter was an American American, she was born here, basically, Spain was the motherland. They thought Spain was beautiful, wonderful, couldn't go wrong with Spain, they'd be accepted perfectly. She gets to Spain, and after she graduated high school, she can go to school because she was some kind of honor student, got a special thing for being smart, goes to Spain and realizes in Spain they don't like Hispanics very much, Mexicans very much in Spain. And it wasn't because she was a U.S. citizen, because they might not like U.S. citizens there, but this was particularly based on her race. They did not like the fact that she was a mestiza. Now, to go further, I had the unfortunate happening of working under somebody from Ireland at a mental health place, and this woman was nuts. The only things out of her mouth were why we need to ban guns in the United States, why we don't have enough socialized medicine in the United States, and how bad the United States was, and how backward our culture was because we don't accept homosexuals in the United States. Everything out of her mouth. You need to accept the homosexuals. You need to accept the fact that, people of color and all this other crap. Now, meanwhile, this is coming out of her mouth while she doesn't want to live in Ireland because Ireland's crappy, okay? And she doesn't want to live in England, which is where she says she's from, even though she's from Ireland, because England is crappy, because they embrace these things, okay, that they want us to embrace in the United States. Now, why is this an issue? Well, because the romanticizing of the old world is very disappointing when you look at the old world. The old world is collapsing because of old world values, not new world values. And I'm not dissing Europe. I'm just stating points of fact here. The values that have been embraced by Europe are not new world values, okay? Now, another thing that's interesting is a lot of people like to glorify the Japanese because they have high IQs. The Japanese have high IQs. What's intriguing, and this is popular in white nationalist circles for whatever reason, is because they spent so much time glorifying the IQ. Mind you, the glorification of the IQ and only the IQ is a Jewish thing. That is the Jews that do that, okay? And that is, I'm starting to question IQ data now that I'm looking into things in South America and things like this and starting to socialize with people from these countries. They don't seem as stupid as these tests would show, okay? Now, let me go further with this, though, this glorification of the Japanese. The Japanese nation was a very backward nation, especially until the Dutch began basically teaching them about science and bringing them into the modern era. Portugal sent missionaries there, and unfortunately Catholicism didn't take root because that would have probably helped lift the Japanese up to a higher level. These people that think the Japanese are great innovators forget what Japanese products were like in the 1980s and early 90s and the 1970s, okay? Now, I wasn't around in the 70s, but I remember the 80s and 90s. You did not want to own a Japanese car because it was a piece of crap. You did not want to own a Japanese TV because it was a piece of crap. You did not want to own a Japanese anything because it was a piece of crap. The same thing with Chinese stuff today. The Chinese things that are made in China, which is virtually everything, is junk compared to what is made in the United States or Peru or Mexico. I think I mentioned this in a previous video. When I was a kid, you used to be able to buy clothing from Mexico or Peru or other places in South America and Central America. Guatemala comes out in my mind. And it was a higher quality fabric, a higher quality product, and it wasn't at the time any more expensive than the crap that came from China. But my point is this. And this goes for all Americans, whether you're a United States citizen, a Mexican citizen, a Peruvian citizen, a Guatemalan citizen, an Argentine citizen, what have you. This over-romanticizing of the old world or this over-glorification of the Asiatic people more often than not results in disappointment when you see what it's really like. And I can go on and on about Germans I've met and their views of the Americans. I will say this about the British. The British have a vendetta against the United States, both the United States citizenry and the United States as a republic. The idea of the United States they detest because they view us as an unruly colony. They view us as a breakaway of them. And it doesn't matter, and I've stated this in past videos, it doesn't matter what you are, like myself. I'm primarily German and English on my father's side, with Dutch and other things mixed in, Dutch, Welsh, etc. My mother's side is Italian and Irish, but to a British person, and I've met British people that have come here, I've taken karate under them and things like that. I am nothing more than a WASP American that broke away from the colonies of the great Mother Britain, and it's their view is very poor toward the United States. And these are the things that really I find remarkable amongst the white nationalist community and and amongst many American people, is they don't understand the old world has never been friendly to the new world. And it never will be friendly to the new world. And that's all for this video.